Good evening, Salot in Adlarot. Say hi, say what's up, Dogo. See, let me know. It's always good, Dogo, to, when you see people interact and all that good stuff. Doing Zinega, see Willa Janvier, who shit in Taylor's tours in La Loche, Saskatchewan, Clearwater River, Dene Nation band member, the history, and Doon Zinige, we're in the Treaty 4 territory once again. At Zinige, I know Treaty 6 and Zachary is due. Tlai school, yeah, so must see Cho to Dinsmore Comp School for having me at Zinige. But doing Zinige, no, but guess who's what Dalu Twe. Lakbro Sheots, Linda, that Ani K. Eagles feet talent don't Winnipeg's in a Korean there and you see 1999 your Dalutwood but Benenich Sale Yao school degrees bits yeah so doing zinik a Bahalyas too and like on you recently there Harvard Medical School Hahil Chusi so that's pretty cool stuff you know then I want to see another so I guess it's a tiger. Get that off. Saduna. But yeah, well, obviously every time mental health delegate you and it's a good stuff. Social worker the a lot of can either. But welcome Nuhabaho Masi Cho Duno Halhuntarulti. I'll bring her in and we'll get this going. Masi Cho Wayland Soto J. Linda Dettanakkeaze. Hello, Atlanta.
Stillesewa kana.
Sura Nezu. Masina Usiun Dunes Inigas Sahalun Tatinta. Then introduce her in Liade Bonul de Linda.
Okay. Linda Hushe Linda Dettanakkeaze, Lackberche, Manitoba, Australia. My dad, Baptiste Dettanakkeaze, well, yeah, and my mom, Elsie Dettanakkeaze. And then I have two little brothers, and I have four kids and grandkids. And so, Lackberche, still. And then on my mom's side, I have a lot of relatives, a lot of cousins. And then on my dad's side, I do have cousins. I do have a lot of female relatives on my mom's side. And must see to see for having me on this podcast. And then couple of days ago, I think it was over the weekend, someone had recommended a kuchen this and this. So must see to say. And that's my background. That's I know it's asked. Like pressure it's asked in 1999, school kai yani sanko and University of Manitoba ni dani yao and then a year cool ni dani yao. I was really having a hard time with the academic learning and I remember the first course that I ever failed was English because and it was a culture shock. And at the same time, I was very eager to learn. And cool. A year school night for it took me 4 years to finish Bachelor of Arts. Um, Bachelor of Arts and Esto. I remember in between my Bachelor of Arts, I had my two kids, and and within that 4 years, I had two kids, and then what is truly it cut was good and in we am being pregnant and still going to classes and in between those two kids no getting as though I was still attending classes. That's how much dedication that I had at the time already. So within that 4 years, the Bachelor of Arts and and then with that Bachelor of Arts and I had a hard time finding the work with that Bachelor of Arts BA. So that I went for another degree. Aboriginal Child and Family Services diploma. That was a 2 year program, and so that diploma program. In order to finish that program, I needed to finish. I needed to complete 60 credit hours.
Mm.
So within that 60 credit hours, 18 credit hours was family studies, and then the rest were social work. So it took me another 2 years in Asteha. And then I had to take out student loans. And then,
Mm.
um, and then I remember I really had a hard time financially though. So la cadines tranesa. So I got a job with New Directions at the time, working with high needs children. Um, so that's what I did, and I finished a 2 year program in that ACFS diploma program. And I went into social work.
Mm.
So,
So,
up, yeah, apply as and then I applied for the concentrated program, which means that I had to complete 72 credit hours within 2 years.
mm.
So, the one night there's within those 2 years, and I remember I had to take out student loans again and working at the same time.
Mhm.
And there were times that I had to evening classes, they hello, and sometimes I would be at the libraries all the time, evenings, weekends. I dedicated my life to education. I would say within that social work, and I remember I got a letter from the dean. I graduated with honors with the that social work program, and I was seeing Nene and cool. I was so happy that I graduated with honors, which means 4.0,
Yeah.
right from our school. I had a hard time, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
finishing social work with honors degree.
Yeah.
So that was a blessing. And then from there, and and then I went into child welfare. Child welfare akalay na for so many years at the authority level. Um, at the authority level, which means there's a government, and there's four authorities under the Manitoba government.
Mhm.
So, and under the four authorities, there's agencies all over, across Manitoba. So, so that at the authority level, I think I worked there for about 9 or 10 years. And then I had to working with the authority level
Mhm.
child welfare. So that's what I did for 10 years, 9 to 10 years. And and then I went into master's in social work. Apply as Joe, I got accepted. So so that one, it took me 7 years part time because it requires a lot of work, a lot of studying. And
Tha school line around.
last school night, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I know, told you a lot of things about my ILTini the other day.
Yeah.
I just want to go back, Jans, a bit. 1999 din and NHS. Yeah, what was that moment? But it's Holline. No, but that's a community. Nene is a flying community, and Banlai didn't I the new the Tage or Lant Ilu, and he got. What was that moment for you, Neb? But okay, school class out, and there's then but alas na ani then and to get out of there and do dogan on there.
I think 1999 school 開嘅咧嚇。有陣度 I always knew that I would I it I always knew education Ghanestan because I grew up with my grandparents. Sitsunichu and Sitsinichu Sinesha. And okay, Bethany, Sitsini, what I say, he used to encourage me. School nada, school to naita, since I was ever since I was a little kid. And I remember those mornings, school to na stage, sabat 2 eggs or a porridge, oatmeal, and then during lunchtime he would sabat it says like cut would eat our school about and then I used to think that because as Aboriginal people or Indigenous people, we grew up in poverty only at that time. We don't think of it as like that. So and then right then, out in the show it's in school honest, thinking that someday I'm gonna make it out there nest, and and then I used to think that it's in a book too. I'm part of a book chapter where I have written about out in this shape. I used to think, are we the only people on this earth nest? Are we the only ones? And but that got me going too. That gave me that curiosity, to learn more, to see what's out there. And I school honest about Joe. I was in after graduating high school, and then I went back to the reserve. I would say 2 years went by. I would say then I finally made up my mind. School kayada, so I gotta get this post-secondary education either to University of Manitoba. So application had nakasla, and I got accepted. And then our Johnny Yao, and then I had a hard time finding a place too. As students, we have to go through all that, lots of challenges. We have to look for a place, and then with the student allowance that we get per month, we have to budget that. And then in between, we have challenges where papers we need to get tutoring as well. We need to dedicate our time to study. I had to go through all that, and then it is in that, and then there was a lot of editing, so I had to seek tutoring. What also even right now, what I see it is I have to it is this, it is this, it is this. I'm always at it. So that was cool, that I've learned a lot of things, how it is to survive out here, how it is to be indigenous person, and then to survive out here. It's totally different from reserves. So many times people, they talk about that too, walking in both worlds. And then once we get our education there, and then we want to go home, but then we don't have a housing. So there is a lot. Those are some of the things that I wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah.
And that, because that goes along with the education as well.
Yeah. I in a minute I seen yeah the last hold on Winnipeg na hi yanyo. Many
um
times out of Lac Rocher, no?
Before that, I remember grade 10 kaskul kaigano, Winnipeg Aslani at that time. But then it was unsuccessful because Horin Shadi hell, compared to Lac Rocher, and Banlai Tiedi Destilo. and I didn't know how to make connections with other students because of the barrier in the language.
Mhm.
And kani balait ke ya sinidis kela it ala ine. But then, after I dropped out, I think twice in grade 10 because I was struggling with that. So
Mm.
after that, and then so I finally made up my mind Thompson's, and I was in ha.
Mm.
And then in Thompson, I stayed at KTC residence and completed grade 10, 11, 12 in 3 years. And at that residence, we were provided with 3 meals a day, and then house parents and knew how they berkat ito. And then at a certain time of the week, we would get tutoring as well. And then we used to have curfews as well. And so there was a lot of support. And then I remember at that time, our student advisors from Lakbisho, she used to always spend time with us, encouraging us, even at that time, go to school,
Mm.
So, I have to give thanks to people from Lakbisho that were always there to support.
Yeah.
It's not that I didn't forget about them. They know that when I talk to them, I always say, must see, hit that is
Mm.
for that support. Yeah.
Ja, ne so
Mm,
that u net see the new that u encouragement bas in it's in new and just
mm,
Banane, sir, I know in Sequestration School Master was the same thing, and just, I guess for a Dene Godet, I Bananich, I say go. If we encourage it, they're gonna make it, and especially with all the support they, or in Nila, Dene Habor in Nila, Dene da Hindit out, or maybe, Bala Tio, and
uh,
when you see a bus, it's boring Nile. And do a after Bachelor of Arts and all the note social work Torlin Sigan either let Child Services Authority you want to boss it no but not any why did you want to go into that field in the beginning, like social work, it's a pretty big broad profession, and see it um, it's a lot of so before that you already face a lot of challenges, and then to take on another one that's other people's but issues why.
mm. With the our child welfare, the Dene Yati. Before that, I used to work with high needs children,
Mhm.
and I heard our agalay na with new directions. I still keep in contact with those workers, and I heard our child welfare interview Kathy Yao at the authority level, and then when I found out that I was offered that position, um, I didn't had any idea what I was getting myself into. And so for that child welfare, there is a law to it's a broad Claudia sekut at ubik ni at usekubit
Mm.
they come with a lot of challenges and all kinds of issues and foster care. Many of them they go through a foster care system, and then this takes me back to social work where we had to learn from the colonization. From Indian Act to residential school, and then 60 scoop, and then into child welfare, you know. And then out of that, doing there was a quiz had it. But out of all that, research and a lot of research has been done, and so out that ACFS diploma program, I don't know. I used to read a lot of articles and journals on 60 Scoop and relocations and child welfare, Indian residential school. So that got me into getting to child welfare. So and then the other thing too was women's issues. When I was taking that Aboriginal CFS diploma program, when I used to read all those articles, there was one scholar that really inspired me. And then today, I still have a good connection with her because on what she wrote about was women's issues, that this discriminations that we face as Indigenous women, in both worlds, in Aboriginal communities or Indigenous communities, and out here in the urban centers, urban cities. Anywhere we go, we're always going to see that discrimination somewhere. So she really inspired me. And then a few years down the road from that article, then I met her in person, and then I told her that she really inspired me. Really, really, I really thought, no, if we get pregnant there, I really thought we wouldn't be accepted into university because we were never taught about those kinds of things. So she really inspired me. So that's how I became to keep going, no matter what. There's always a way to get through. Yeah.
So, Ani, don't ubagayan tigar. Of course, a lot of over the years, don't align now, a lot of challenges yourself, mental health. You juggle so much. Sa ku pregnant torn si bagayan tie. Doon zinagan jathin da no hal. And ne ine incident uhuti ya dlani then hunt ede baganya tila din nilak ani a lot of the stuff you talk about, the challenges and issues then sultine takwe they're superwoman and dlani then konti si huti ya and do tinta.
um I struggle. I do have my challenges, and what gets me going on a daily basis is I have to read. I always have to pick up a book or researching, and it takes me back to at Oniga, with my grandparents. My grandparents were so loving, and then in terms of residential school, you know, my mom went to school for so many years, and then to this day, she won't talk to us about it. And then the reason why I feel like I can talk about it is because back in about 8 years ago, I think I used to have three little brothers, and then um, um, one of them decided to leave, this Mother Earth. In other words, he decided to leave this Mother Earth. And at that time, I did not really, I couldn't really understand why it was the way it was, for us people. So, John S. Joe, and then I started looking into articles, researching, on mental health issues, you know, all those things that we have to go through, suicide, mental health issues, even to survive out here, even to survive on the reserve, it all stems back from colonization or residential school, 60 scoop, child welfare, and it all adds up. And then there is articles out there. There is a scholar that termed she called it a historical trauma because of all those layers from relocation to residential school, 60 scoop, and then child welfare. So she did all the research, and then she came up with the word historical trauma. So now across the board in the United States and in Canada, many scholars, they use that, they reference her on that historical trauma, and it makes sense because when I really think about it, when I first started doing research, start writing papers, I used to get angry, thinking, why do we have to go through things like this? And then what's the solution to this? What is the solution for us to learn about all this colonization? What's the solution to help the Indian residential school survivors? Child welfare, 60 scoop, So I kept going. And there is a lot of scholars out there that are doing similar, researching. And then there is a lot of communication. And then I remember some of the professors, they used to say, things might change, things might not change in our generation, but let's hope for our generation to come that they'll get it right, that they'll come up with solutions, that you know that the healing processes will be there, so there would be no longer that history of traumas, layers of traumas. That's what we face
Mm-hmm.
every day. It appears to be, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Asal Yereza. That's what I'm hearing, and don't Dene Lil Day. I know the other day, boy Iron, he said, only me can stop me, and Day, it won't change. Banan is thirdly, a lot of things sometimes I get thinking that way too, that why, what can we do? Don't ude and I guess, another Bobanonit Adezaha. That's
Hmm.
what I'm hearing. And, their mental health boss, it's always good bagayatiha because kani Kurin ninilab, a lot of things bagayatile,
Hmm.
and there's suicide, a lot of stuff we deal with that happens everywhere. I know a Dennis that's been touched by
Hmm.
that disease, and Linda, another I know Kani dere Torliusi and mental health through social work align now all this research at Lumbek and another Harvard Medical School nil chue their 1 year program din don't but only that see maybe a solution or something another day then and do research get on there. See, what do you see for the future now? The program and all then.
um, with Harvard University, I think I may have that thought, when I was in high school, thinking, someday I'm gonna make it to that level. But had I not there, and then I forgot about it, and then you know, had to take different road, different directions, and but in 2019, June 2019. I was researching Nisanku. I was at home here, researching, thinking, so I was researching all these universities, across Canada and then across the United States, and then I came across, Harvard University, and then I kept on looking at it, eyeing it, thinking that Udesaha, I know this Harvard University, it's for elites the way they see it, and then thinking Dene Hislu, and then that Udesaha Halanes, so I kept on eyeing that program. And then, so finally, this past November, I sent in my application. First, I started off with taking courses with the business through Harvard University. So I finished that 3 courses and I passed all of them. And so I was, and then I thought, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. Need the this program, medical school. I'm gonna give it a try. Need the. So I sent in my application, and then I had to ask a couple of my friends, for personal statements. So I got a chance to review a couple of them, and then I finally got an idea, to write a personal statement, and then sits in transcripts the go. So ka usay they so and then hate and then thinking, okay, I'm just gonna leave it as it is, whether I'm gonna be accepted or not. It's out of my hands now. so kani about 2 weeks ago, I got an email, indicating, stating that I got accepted into Harvard Medical School.
Mm.
And then I was so happy. I never thought that I would make it to that level, but I guess if you really want something, you work towards it, you give your life towards that, dedication, optimistic,
Mm-hmm.
and then hola, what is truly, I don't give up. I always try to find a way
Mm.
to, to
Duhu,
get there. Yeah.
Duhu, I'm sure 1999 o'Neill Jernant and is not do Neil Jernant at Lu Sierra.
Nah,
No?
nah. And I just go for it, whether it's gonna be accepted or not.
Mm-hmm.
But then what keeps me going is the humility. The love that I have for the people, the love that I have for myself. I do a lot of self caring,
Mm-hmm.
and I meditate. I've learned to meditate. And then I go to ceremonies, I go to sweats, I go to Native American church. That has been my life since I was about 18. And so that's what keeps me going.
Mm.
That belief system in,
Mm.
yeah.
Netsieju netsunet ya bahalni yara. I know a Dennis Lambets honi this that it we can all relate to each other,
Mm.
Nantuni yani si ya netsieju netsuna bahal, yit like ani ba kurin a lot of things doing teban like tidint out dene didn't out and koni sie herinch zadani jerlu. A lot of things te right at the core very humble as a dealer Teresa do and you know don't isi another how often self-care base te doing new and ne te basu te in how often koni see you got to make time for it in order to be to move forward and take confidence. How
Self care, I do self care every morning. I do every morning. All my friends and all my family, they know that I get up early in the morning. And when I get up, I make sure that I have my coffee and time alone. So I sit in silence for about half an hour, meditating. And anything that's unnecessary, that are floating around in my brain, I let it go, unnecessary. And then I focus on what needs to be done that day. So that's how I do my focusing. And then so I do meditation, and I meditate every morning. And then throughout the day, that's how I go about my daily life. Ayun, si kaubat at least anasto, with a clear mind. And in between, my family and even from Lac-Brochet, my friends from Lac-Brochet, they know that I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of researching, writing. So they know when to call me, or they'll say, "Do you have time to talk?" And then I'll make time. That's the kind of a mutual respect that the people have. So I give that back as well. And with self care, I go to sweats too. Sometimes when I'm not really busy or when I get stressed out, I go to sweats, and then I have friends that do go to sweats. Sometimes the woman sweats, and then I go to Sundance in summertime, and then I go to Native American church. Through Native American church, I've been doing that since 1993. So I've met a lot of people through Native American church, from across the Canada, and the United States too. So I met a lot of people through Native American church, and they're very highly believers of, God. They pray, they encourage one another, and they even talk about um, they even go back to where ceremonies were banned in the 50s, you know, and they had to go outside. They had to go hide from the Indian agents for them to practice those ways.
Mhm.
So at the same time, sometimes when I listen to music too, like old songs, that's what I do when I listen to music, and then that's when emotions or those when emotions are flowing, I know that's when I have to write. And then when I'm listening to an old song, then I have to um, think about, oh, the song was made this year, how was it for Aboriginal then, and then I tend to think back into a little back, like in the 50s, oh, that's when those ceremonies were banned. That's when Indigenous couldn't practice their traditional, so so a lot of things like that. For me, that's self-caring.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff to take in, but
Hmm.
there aren't a lot of I know that the rest on la Torlut an nenech asin yo Dene Yati duhin ani yo adu te denedint ala Tlunt u, why do you still have it? What did you do? Tlante I know that's a very busy world you live in. Skulu, Nes Canada, very urban setting.
Hmm.
Why do you still hold all of that?
I think Dene Yati Tsankwichu Inequichu Hefni Yase and Auk in this sugar Auk in this there a lot of Tsanko Inequ they used to come to my grandparents' home, Halt Asanado, Get Edi Asanado, Dene Yati Adart, Hadi so the Alkadari did the hell.
Mm.
So those words it stayed with me. At Udalt, and so don't ever since I did that mental health with the residential school survivors. I did that for 2 years back in I can't remember 2011 I think. So I did that for 2 years, and I had to do a lot of translation. Kuyaka, all those words, different types of abuses, and I did struggle. that udes on Dene Yati adudes hanestan, because you don't hear those words in Dene, different types of abuses, different types of mental health issues. So I had to do a lot of translations, and then I had to think around and think through it a lot. About the that is how do they nest, that
Mm,
udes I'm gonna translate this to this person, but like he did,
mhm,
so that's where I maintain the language. Even right now, when I introduce myself to Harvard University, I tell them then I still, I'm from way up north, in Canada, Manitoba. That's how I introduce myself. So, yeah.
So every time I do the same too. Dene, Dene is my first language, is your first language. Dene, a lot of people didn't get that opportunity, but
Mm,
and they surely they do. Babaho on ala,
mm,
Nes Kanu na to cause it ali hunli hell torn over the years. Baba Larent I do. At Harvard's egg, I was going to be in a program and to go through all the things, Dumba Badlanta.
my everything that I'm gonna do in life, I always um, tell my kids about it, and then they know that school gonna and our Harvard apply as Najo. I even told my girls that I was gonna apply, and then whether if I'm gonna get accepted or not. And they don't need that. I got accepted. They're happy about it. They're happy about it. Thinking that if I can make this trail or a path for my children, I'm pretty sure that they'll get somewhere in life with their education.
Mm-hmm.
Not only my children, but dene, sekusan, daniyo lado.
Mm,
Maybe one of them can take that path too. It's doable. You
yeah.
know, Running that day, it's doable. A person can do it. Honest, only I I spend a lot of time by myself because I do a lot of researching. I do a lot of writing, and then that's what I do in my own time.
Mm,
That's all I do. I dedicated my life to research
mm,
and education. So
yeah.
hopefully, somebody can take that similar path. I don't want to say the same, but similar path.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanalt Raze, Lucy and San, and I know Salhulnede. She's very
Mm-mm.
into research for sure. Doing Than and Nenech Azui Lala over 20 years. Bird dullness, you're in Nena Winnipeg, not there.
Bertal sa paningil.
See, first time benasni and Dumbo this but do benasni. This week I'm gonna be heading to Thursday, not kids in who their day. I'll be heading up there. I'm sure it's a bird doll het Ada Santa as a kohanunt. But Linda must see no soon doing that's all I got in a but Tenahaya Tini aren't in a banunus alu and must see Cho once again doing
Mm-mm.
Zinega for sharing your story.
Mm-mm. Okay. Masi Nursi for having me here. And at Udanahaya Tines Ahade, Masi Dusinestana to all my supporters. So, I have a lot of supporters. And Kani Lucidi Hunizi, she's one of my main supporters. And Teresa, Laura, Marie. I have a lot of female cousins that I get along with. So says Kanabazo, and then my auntie for raising my daughter and my mom for raising my son, so I can continue on with my education. And then one of the things that back in I think about 8 years ago when that happened with my little brother, I could do in is Selen, then it's only for you to be the spokesperson for the family, for towards the healing here, because she's a residential school survivor for I think 10 years, and then during the school night there, I can talk about it hidden, the data hidden. So everything, all that healing, for you can start. I give you that permission, hidden, I give you that permission to talk about those things and those issues. And
Mm.
so from there on, since she gave me that permission to talk about all those issues, then I happen to be in a chapter in the book where I explain, a little bit about a residential school and but towards the healing. Out of that writing, I was awarded to write a solo book to
Mm.
write about traumas, different kinds of traumas, education. So, ka'u yatkinus alnestana, for the young people, even the mothers, single mothers. There is a lot of single mothers only. There is a lot of challenges. We go through a lot. We go through domestic violence. And many of these issues, people don't want to talk about it, domestic violence, um, um, even sexual assaults, that goes along with domestic violence, a lot of these issues that people don't want to talk about, So I want to say for to the young people, if you're going through these types of things, find someone to talk to,
Mm.
you know, go back to school if you could, try to find a way to help yourself, try to get that education or even a certificate program, diploma program that's
Mhm.
going to take you a long ways in life, to gain that understanding about those issues. Because if we can all come together, I'm pretty sure we can overcome all these issues of domestic violence, sexual assaults. We don't have to face it no more. Maybe our children or grandkids won't have to face it no more, because sometimes we can transfer those issues as well. Maybe we can break it somewhere.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of good stuff. I think that is that whole topic alone is a future
Mm,
podcast. The next
yeah.
time, maybe, you know, Kani, I know, I think historical trauma is taken very lightly by many, even our own
Mm-hmm.
people needs the knowledge and awareness. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Quite intense about, and then one of the comments that you in that comment, I could not finish the book. Bury my heart at Wounded Knee. It angered me so much. So I think, maybe another day on that topic alone, and kind of share a bit about the dialogue and
Mm-hmm.
open the conversation. I think that would be cool. Kunen and Lani then.
Yeah. Okay, we can do that again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Before
Mm-hmm.
you start Harvard Medical, for sure. But anyways, Masi Cho once again. Nababir dol nos maybe a deep.
Sa don't know alade.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Alrighty, Masi Cho, Linda. You have a good night.
Good night. Mase.
Alrighty, salot inakuyit Linda Dettanakkeaze at Dettanakkeaze eagle's feet and a lot of cool names. It's been translated and I'm learning about, but Masi Chobanesten, it's very cool. A lot of accomplishments over 20 years on the school, and now Harvard is the next challenge. But Borin yet, I'm pretty sure, because she's very determined. Yasa bird dol babanu ade. She's gonna go a long way. Yeah, doing zinege sellout in a must-see choner house. This weekend I'm headed to Lac Brochet, Manitoba. Once again, I want to thank all the people there that invited me again. Just anybody. It's very cool to see Dene Yati merch everywhere, to kind of penetrate that not fashion, but the scene, just to have Dene present. So very cool. Must see show. I really appreciate all the support. If you want to order it, they just inbox me and we'll get it shipped out to you. But with that, must see show na her see Willis Jean Viehushe in Telas Tours in La Loche, Saskatchewan. Clearwater River Dene Nation band member the Hisliu and doing Zinigadoga Hitiane Treaty 6 territory. Must see show. Have a good night.